forms, multicolored chassis. Ashadityanda sunrudra ashvino marutastata pahunya drishta purvani pashabcharyani bharata. Translation. O best of the Bharatas, see here the different manifestations of Adityas, Rudras, and all the demigods. Behold the many things which no one has ever seen or heard before. Ihaikastam jagat kritsnam pasyadya sacharachanam mamadehe gurakesha yachchanyam drashtum ichchasi. Whatever you wish to see can be seen all at once in this body. This universal form can show you all that you now desire, as well as whatever you may desire in the future. Everything is here completely. Natumam chakshase drashtum anaynaiva svachakshisha divyam dadami te chakshu pashyame yogam aishvaram. But you cannot see with your present eyes. So I give you divine eyes by which you can behold my mystic opulence. Manjaya vacha evam uktato rajan mahayogeshvaro hari dashayama partaya paramam drupamaishvaram. Sanjaya said, O king, speaking thus, the Supreme, the Lord of all mystic power, the personality of God, displayed his universal form to Arjuna. Aneka Vaktra Nayanam, Aneka Advaita Darshaya, Aneka Divya Bharanam, Divyaneko Jatayudham, Divya Malyam Bharadharam, Divya Gandhanulepanam, Sarvascharya Mayam Devam, Anantam Vishtomkam. Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouth and unlimited eyes. It was all wondrous. The form was decorated with divine dazzling ornaments and arrayed in many garbs. He was garlanded gloriously, and there were many scents smeared over his body. All was magnificent, all expanding, unlimited. This was seen by Arjuna. Divi Surya Sahasrasya Paved Yuga Parutita Ediba Sadishi Sahasya Pasastasya Admana. If hundreds of thousands of suns rose up at once into the sky, they might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. Tatre kaistam jagat kritsnam pravibhaktam anekada apashya deva devasya sharire bandhavastha. At that time, Arjuna could see in the universal form of the Lord the unlimited expansions of the universe situated in one place, although divided into many, many thousands. Tata savishmayo vishto vishtaro madharanjaya pranamya shirasa devam kritanjali abhashita. Then bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end, Arjuna began to pray with folded hands, offering obeisances to the Supreme Lord. And finally, chapter text 15, Arjuna Vacha Pashami Devam Stavadevade Savam Satabhut Shesha Sangam Manam Isham Kamalasanastam Vishim Sarvan Rugam Shativyan. Arjuna said, my dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled together in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva, and many sages and divine servants. Going back to text 5. Someone can read the translation in purple.
The Blessed Lord said, my dear Arjuna, O son of Pritha, behold now my opulences, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of varied divine forms, multicolored like the sea. Purport. Arjuna wanted to see Krishna in his universal form, which, although a transcendental form, is just manifested for the cosmic manifestation and is therefore subject to the temporary time of this material nature. As the material nature is manifested and not manifested, similarly this universal form of Krishna is manifested and unmanifested. It is not eternally situated in the spiritual sky, like Krishna's other forms. As far as the devotee is concerned, he is not eager to see the universal form. But because Arjuna wanted to see Krishna in this way, Krishna reveals this form. This universal form is not possible to be seen by any ordinary man. Krishna must give one the power to see it.
And would like to make any comments or questions? Next text.
Oh, best of the Bharatas. See here the different manifestations of Adityas, Rudras, and all the demigods. Behold the many things which no one has ever seen or heard before. Purport. Even though Arjuna was a personal friend of Krishna and the most advanced of learned men, it was still not possible for him to know everything about Krishna. Here it is stated that humans have neither heard nor known of all these forms and manifestations. Now Krishna reveals these wonderful forms.
Krishna he has amazing forms. In the material world, we also become attracted by things that appeal to the eye, to the nose, to the senses. We have different senses, and they're attracted by different objects. The eyes, for example, are attracted by very bright and beautiful things, effulgent things, like the sun, and things that are illuminated. And therefore, this form is shown. In the Garga Samhita, there's a description of some devotees who served the Lord with great dedication and devotion. And so the Lord wanted to give them a benediction. He said, I'll give you anything you like. And they asked only for one thing. They would like to see the form of Radha and Krishna together. That's amazing because the form of Radha and Krishna together, there's nothing that can surpass it. There's nothing we can see is more attractive than that. Krishna means all attractive. But even if we say, well, I'm not attracted to seeing Radha Krishna, I mean, it's okay, nice to see them, but we're not seeing them then with spiritual eyes because they can't be perceived with ordinary vision. Even here, the universal form, which is not one of Krishna's eternal forms, it's temporarily manifested on manifest, like the elements of the universe. Still, it's considered transcendental because it's coming from Krishna, Krishna's energy. But even this form has to be seen by Krishna's grace. Krishna has to give the eyes to see the universal form. After all, the universal form is showing so many things that a person in this universe would not be able to see. Just like we may be living in the United States, but we don't have access to see all the things here. Maybe we don't get to see all the money, all the jewelry, all the files, records, different things that one might be interested in seeing. We don't get that opportunity unless we're very qualified. So getting to see Radha Krishna and worship Radha Krishna, even in our neophyte stage, we're not able to fully grasp and appreciate the form of the Lord. But by worshiping Archana and the other processes of Bhakti Yoga, one develops purity. One becomes pure in the heart. And Krishna reveals himself gladly. And when one has reached the stage where he can actually appreciate transcendental forms of Radha and Krishna, then he will be able to really relish. There are yogis that in their stage, there's a stage called Shantaras, where they appreciate the Lord, but in a neutral kind of way. And sometimes the impersonal, or those who meditate on the form of the Lord, Vishnu in the heart, they're in that category. And they're completely satisfied just meditating on the beautiful form of Vishnu for any amount of time. So it doesn't have to be for a short time. It can be as long as one wants because they're so satisfied. We may have a hard time understanding that, but still it's explained here in this chapter, in this verse, how the Lord's form is so attractive. And hearing his glory is similarly attractive. Or hearing his instructions, Bhagavad Gita. These instructions of Bhagavad Gita are not mundane, they're not material. Each word carries so much meaning, so much in the Sanskrit language, referring to Krishna, referring to his unique characteristics. So there's no possibility of those living in the spiritual world to become bored or tired or something. Now I'm becoming not interested. Not like that. That's how the material world functions. Because of the time factor, everything's changed. Yeah, we can go on to the next text.
Whatever you wish to see can be seen all at once in this body. This universal form can show you all that you now desire, as well as whatever you may desire in the future. Everything is here completely. Purport. No one can see the entire universe sitting in one place. Even the most advanced scientist cannot see what is going on in other parts of the universe. Krishna gives him the power to see anything he wants to see, past, present, and future. Thus, by the mercy of Krishna, Arjuna is able to see everything.
It's described. He can see Brahma. He gives Arjuna the ability to see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower. So that lotus flower is not an ordinary lotus flower. That's a lotus flower that emanated from the navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And from that lotus flower, Brahma was born. That was the unique quality of that birth in this material universe. You don't generally hear of men giving birth to children. And we shouldn't think that the Lord is a man, like an ordinary man. He's transcendentally male, but not like an ordinary male. So we can't limit him. And we find that not only does Krishna or Vishnu have power to generate living entities, but even his parts and parcels are given powers. When we say generate, we don't mean that they had no existence before, because Krishna says in the second chapter, Atvevaham jatunasam tamne me janadipaha javima savivayam takparam. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor in the future shall any of this cease to be. So he's already declared Nityo Nityanam, that the Lord is eternal, and the living entities are also eternal. Still there manifest from him. So that may be difficult for those who are not accustomed to transcendental thinking or reasoning, which some people would say is just a kind of they don't think it's fair to give meanings to words that have not been included in the dictionary. I don't like that. But what if they're just those who've compiled these dictionaries, simply not on the transcendental platform? They can't appreciate the transcendental aspects of the words. And that's what happens. So if you're looking for a God that fits in a box the way you want and only can do what you think he should be able to do, and he does whatever he should do, when he doesn't do, then we criticize him. Like if he allows a hurricane to come and cause havoc in a certain place, then we say bad God. Like we treat a dog, bad dog. This is not the way to understand God. You can't understand him so in your own way. You have to understand the way he is, the way he reveals himself. And if one demands to see God, he doesn't agree to be seen that way. He agrees to be seen when the devotees, they approach him in a very humble mood, and they want to see him. He likes to reveal his transcendental beauty. And because it's not material, it's not limited just to certain sex or one, whether it's males. Like one might think Krishna danced with women, so I'm not a woman, so I can't be attracted to Krishna in that way. No, we're not these bodies, male or female. We are eternal spiritual souls have transcendental forms like Krishna. His form is eternal and transcendental. In the spiritual world, we also have those forms. Therefore, if we see a beautiful painting of Krishna, as sometimes we see, he's so attractive, he appears to some people, they think he may be feminine. But he's not feminine or masculine in the material sense. He can also appear, and he does appear, in feminine forms. That's his choice. But they're also not material. They're completely spiritual. So understanding spiritual things is one of the important features of Krishna consciousness. That ordinary persons or scholars even who've studied history and things, you can't understand it without bhakti, without some devotional service. When Krishna sees that devotional service, he reciprocates. Yayatamam papajate, tangsatava pujami. Continue.
But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore I give to you divine eyes by which you can behold my mystic opulence. Purport. A pure devotee does not like to see Krishna in any form except his form with two hands. A devotee must see his universal form by his grace, not with the mind, but with spiritual eyes. To see the universal form of Krishna, Arjuna is told not to change his mind, but his vision. The universal form of Krishna is not very important. That will be clear in the verses. But because Arjuna wanted to see it, the Lord gives him the particular vision required to see that universal form. Devotees who are correctly situated in transcendental relationship with Krishna are attracted by loving features, not by a godless display of opulences. The playmates of Krishna, the friends of Krishna, and the parents of Krishna never want Krishna to show his opulences. They are so immersed in pure love that they do not even know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In their loving exchange, they forget that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that the boys who play with Krishna are all highly pious souls, and after many, many births, they are able to play with Krishna. Such boys do not know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They take him as a personal friend. Supreme Person is considered as the impersonal Brahman by great sages. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the devotees, it is a product of this material nature by ordinary men. The fact is that the devotee is not concerned to see the Vishvarupa, the universal form. But Arjuna wanted to see it to substantiate Krishna's statement so that in the future people could understand that Krishna not only theoretically or philosophically presented himself as the Supreme, but actually presented himself as such to Arjuna. Arjuna must confirm this because Arjuna is the beginning of the Parampara system. Those who are actually interested to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna and who follow in the footsteps of Arjuna should understand that Krishna not only theoretically presented himself as the Supreme, but actually revealed himself as the Supreme. The Lord gave Arjuna the necessary power to see his universal form because he knew that Arjuna did not particularly want to see it, as we have already explained.
Maharaj, about universal form, it is, I've read that the entire cosmos, the planets and everything, rests on his body. So how are we to understand that? Are we to take it literally, or how are we to visualize it?
Or
The universal form, the planets and everything resting on his body.
oh, yeah, he can make it any way he likes. Sometimes Yogis, they see Shishumar. Shishumar is a particular form. It's made up of different planets and stars and things like that. Sky. So there, they say sometimes they describe on the head of the Shishumar form is a certain star. And that's awesome. Let's read the next text.
Sanjaya said, O king, speaking thus, the Supreme, the Lord of all mystic power, the personality of Godhead, displayed his universal form to Arjuna. Translation. Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouths and unlimited eyes. It was all wondrous. The form was decorated with divine, dazzling ornaments and arrayed in many garbs. He was garlanded gloriously, and there were many scents smeared over his body. All was magnificent, all expanding, unlimited. This was seen by Arjuna. Purport. These two verses indicate that there is no limit to the hands, mouths, legs, etc. of the Lord. These manifestations are distributed throughout the universe and are unlimited. By the grace of the Lord, Arjuna could see them while sitting in one place. That is the potency of the inconceivable potency of Krishna. That is due to the inconceivable potency of Krishna.
If hundreds of thousands of suns rose up at once into the sky, they might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. Purport. What Arjuna saw was indescribable, yet Sanjaya is trying to give a mental picture of that great revelation to Dhritarashtra. Neither Sanjaya nor Dhritarashtra were present, but Sanjaya, by the grace of Vyasa, could see whatever happened. Thus, he now compares the situation as far as it can be understood to an imaginable phenomenon, i.e., thousands of suns. At that time, Arjuna could see in the universal form of the Lord the unlimited expansions of the universe situated in one place, although divided into many, many thousands. Purport. The word tatra there is very significant. It indicates that both Arjuna and Krishna were sitting on the chariot when Arjuna saw the universal form. Others on the battlefield could not see this form because Krishna gave the vision only to Arjuna. Arjuna could see in the body of Krishna many thousands of universes. As we learn from Vedic scriptures, there are many universes and many planets. Some of them are made of earth, some are made of gold, some are made of jewels, some are great, some are not so great, etc. Sitting on his chariot, Arjuna could see all these universes, but no one could understand what was going on between Arjuna and Krishna.
So the and that Krishna gives Arjuna so that he can see this, I think, is really interesting. That when Krishna entered the arena, Krishna and Balaram, to engage in wrestling with the really big wrestlers there, each person saw Krishna as something different. The women see him as the most beautiful person. Some people see him as just a very, very powerful person. And so depending on the vision, they all had some different experience. So there's something similar going on here that only Arjuna is able to see this, even though there's so many people on this battlefield. And I think this is interesting to keep in perspective for us doing deity worship in the temple, that for those of us that live here, we see the deities every day. And if we're not thinking about it carefully and hearing from the spiritual master as to what the deities actually are, we could come away with the conception, oh, they're made of stone. They're just like any other material substance. But the devotee understands that this is God personally present before me. That God is all powerful, and so although God is in one sense in everything and he is everything, in another sense he has personally taken this form just so that the devotees can worship him. Just like Prabhu was saying the other day, that when Krishna fights these demons, he's enacting these pastimes so that the devotees can enjoy them and understand that he is always protecting them, when he doesn't need to engage in combat with any of these demons. He could simply just wish it and immediately they would be vanquished. And Krishna Shravana was mentioning the other day that with prasadam, that prasadam never actually expires, that we don't have the vision that higher personalities have to see that. So he was talking about, I forget the devotee's name, who, very advanced devotee, he's taking the rice from the field that's what we would consider expired, that we could imagine it might have gained some foul smell or something, but he understands it's prasadam and he's very eager to take it. So in the same way, depending on the type of vision we have, it's very important in our devotional service. And this form, from what I understand, someone feel free to correct me if I'm saying something out of line, but was also seen by Krishna's mother when she was chastising him for eating dirt. And she said, "Let me see what's in your mouth." And he opened his mouth and she saw the universal form. And just like Arjuna was not actually very interested to see this form, when Krishna opened his mouth, she was amazed and she immediately thought, oh, I must be going crazy or something. She wasn't, just falling down to worship him, because for his mother, she's covered by Krishna's yoga maya. So in the material world, we're all covered by this Maha Maya, which is the cause of suffering. But Krishna's intimate associates, they're under his yoga maya, which is just to increase their bliss. That many of them, they don't understand, at least most of the time, that Krishna's God. That the cowherd boys often thought, he's holding Govardhan Hill. Is he some demigod? Is he this demigod or that demigod? But they didn't actually understand that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so he's able to do anything. So we can go ahead to the next text. Then, bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end, Arjuna began to pray with folded hands, offering obeisances to the Supreme Lord. Purport. Once the divine vision is revealed, the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna changes immediately. Before, Krishna and Arjuna had a relationship based on friendship, but here after the revelation, Arjuna is offering obeisances with great respect, and with folded hands, he's praying to Krishna. He is praising the universal form. Thus, Arjuna's relationship becomes one of wonder rather than friendship. Great devotees see Krishna as the reservoir of all relationships. In the scriptures, there are 12 basic kinds of relationships mentioned, and all of them are present in Krishna. It is said that he is the ocean of all the relationships exchanged between two living entities, between the gods or between the Supreme Lord and his devotees. It is said that Arjuna was inspired by the relationship of wonder, and in that wonder, although he was by nature very sober, calm, and quiet, he became ecstatic. His hair stood up, and he began to offer his obeisances unto the Supreme Lord with folded hands. He was not, of course, afraid. He was affected by the wonders of the Supreme Lord. The immediate context is wonder. His natural loving friendship was overwhelmed by wonder, and thus he reacted in this way. So it talks about Krishna being the reservoir, he's containing all the different types of relationships. So one of the demons that we hear about in the Krishna book is Kamsa, and Kamsa was always thinking about Krishna because he knew that Krishna was going to eventually kill him. And so his relationship with Krishna was one of anger and fear, that he was always thinking, I must kill Krishna. I must kill him because he's going to kill me. And this is amazing to think about, because it's not that we're necessarily saying that, you should think about Krishna in this specific mood. But even if one does think about Krishna in this mood, he's actually benefited. It's not the highest thing to do, but Krishna is the ultimate purifying object. And so by the very act of constantly thinking about Krishna, one is purified. And so we see that some of these demons, they were actually killed by some of Krishna's Vishnu forms. And when these people were killed, they were not immediately liberated. But those demons that were killed by Krishna directly, they were immediately liberated. So this isn't exactly the same as his intimate associates, but they were still incredibly benefited. And so then, as this purport's talking about Arjuna, he was interacting with Krishna up until this point as a friend does. So, we can all understand, we have friends that you interact with your friend, you kind of josh around with them, you tease them, you say things and do things with them that other people couldn't get away with, because that level of friendship, you both have an understanding that you're dear friends, and what other people might see as, oh, you're being a little disrespectful toward him. These two friends, no, this is just how they interact. So in this moment, Arjuna is overwhelmed with wonder at this universal form, that he's literally seeing everything in the entire universe all at once. And we're told that he didn't really want to see this form, but he was shown this form so that, in the future, he and those following in the parampara from him could understand that if somebody is claiming to be Bhagavan, claiming to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you simply say, oh, can you show me your universal form? Not that they can do some small magical act or, illusory trick or something like this and just convince the public that they are God. Krishna actually showed his devotee the entire universe all at once. And so because Arjuna saw this, he was for a moment overwhelmed, thinking, oh, I'm acting as this person's friend when he's he's the most powerful entity. And so he kind of became under this relationship of wonder for a moment. So we can go to the next text. Arjuna said, "My dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled together in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva and many sages and divine serpents." Purport. Arjuna sees everything in the universe. Therefore, he sees Brahma, who is the first creature in the universe, and the celestial serpent upon which the Garbhodakshayi Vishnu lies in the lower regions of the universe. This snake bed is called Vasuki. There are also other snakes known as Vasuki. Arjuna can see from the Garbhodakshayi Vishnu up to the topmost part of the universe on the lotus flower planet where Brahma, the first creature of the universe, resides. That means that from the beginning to the end, everything could be seen by Arjuna sitting in one place on his chariot. This was possible by the grace of Lord Krishna. So, as Maharaj was talking about, that Brahma he's the first living entity in the material universe. And he's actually he's born from the lotus flower coming from Vishnu's navel. And so when he was born, he meditated for, I think it was like 1,000 years. I might be incorrect, but and then Vishnu comes to him and gives him the knowledge by which he can create the universe. So here's a living entity that lives for however many trillions of years. I'm not quite sure, but it's a really long time. And Arjuna was able to see everything. This is one of the most amazing things, at least in the material world. And here he's seeing all of it all at once. And so we can just imagine that, how many people would be envious of Arjuna's vision here, that Arjuna didn't even want to see this, and yet he's getting to see it. So this is a good example of how for devotees in devotional service, they're told, because this is true, that they're not the enjoyer. They're the part, and Krishna is the whole. And that the only way to enjoy is just as the hand cannot eat the food by itself. It gives it to the mouth sends it down to the stomach, and by that way, the whole body's satisfied. We can't enjoy if we try to enjoy separate from Krishna. But when we take up devotional service, we also find that, all these things that in material life, they're impossible to satisfy are suddenly accomplished very easily. So just like I'm speaking to everybody now, and I'm not sure I'm doing a good job, but in material life, I don't have anything to talk about. I definitely don't want to do any form of public speaking. And then at the Hare Krishna temple, suddenly there's a subject that is worth talking about all the time. And it doesn't matter how imperfect I am at speaking or conveying information, because the process is we just repeat what we've heard from authorities. Prabhupada is talking in a class on the sixth canto, chapter 1, I think it's verse 40, about the Yamadutas. Iti Shushrama, thus we've heard. And he says, this is perfect. This is the way to attain knowledge. On any subject, we repeat what authorities are telling us. And so because Arjuna is engaged in this process that we're striving to be engaged in, he's getting the full results of this process. He gets, Krishna bhakti, but he also gets such things that he doesn't even want, that an average person would just be thrilled to have, like vision of the universal form. So, anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, well, we can end there. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. All right.